Say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. All right, shalom, shalom. Happy Passover. Uh, happy Passover. Of course, what feast? This what 2022. so so this year, y'all gonna realize that the way that we're doing the Passover, we're gonna give clarity of why we are doing the Passover the way that we are doing it versus how we've done it, previously in the past. In the past, what we're gonna do is, Lord's will, clear up some of the contradictions that we have taught and have been taught over the years when it came down to how we're supposed to count the feast days or the days in general. Because as of lately, I know brothers and sisters, that have been paying attention to some of the, commotion or back and forth, going back and forth with some of the brothers that was building with us at once upon a time in reference to this subject or this topic right here. One of the things that we need to clear up, this is not a new doctrine. This is not new at all. This is not something that just fell out of the sky. We just sit down and decided to come up with. If anybody was paying attention to what happened last year, with our elder, one of the things that the elder was doing and that he brought out is in reference to the Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread, the amount of days that it was. One of the things that we could not, I'm not going to say cannot do, but the Most High didn't have the understanding right there for us at the time to be able to explain the difference between 8 days or 7 days. So our goal tonight through the Spirit is, what we're going to do is through the Spirit is bring out and show you all that the Passover within itself is a day. It's a feast that we have to keep in itself. That feast, that Passover day, actually leads us into the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is the beginning of the Sabbath. So one of the things that we're going to clear up, the understanding that a lot of brothers could not bring out when it came down to what? John chapter 19. It was a scripture that that myself and Deacon Tawab had started to study, last year sometime? And we've been studying this scripture and this topic since last year. And, through the Spirit, the Most High allowed us to see how we're supposed to count and how we're supposed to keep the Passover going into the Feast of Unleavened Bread.
All right, shalom, y'all. I'm Brother Jacob. Let's get started with Exodus chapter 12 and verse 1.
Shalom, Most High in Christ bless. The book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months.
Come on.
It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take of them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house.
So what the Lord is doing right here, he's giving Moses the ordinances for the Passover. Keep going. Verse 4.
Verse 4. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats.
Right, this sacrifice, this should be of the sheep or of the goats. The sheep or the goats. Verse 6.
1 second. Go back to verse 2.
Book of Exodus chapter 12 and verse 2. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
Deacon Nathaniel, you want to explain that?
All right. So the scriptures tells you, it says, this month shall be unto you. It says the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. So what this scripture is showing you, that it's showing you right here the beginning of our month. It's showing you right here when we begin our new year. This is what the scripture is going to. One of the things that we have to pay attention to is how we supposed to line up these counts. How we line it up, which I eventually go into it. I don't know if you want me to get that right now or what, but okay. So just like when it comes down to the count, we'll clear up a misunderstanding that we've had for years. The way that I was taught when I came into the truth. A lot of brothers, when they count a day, a lot of brothers count from even into even, then they would say one day. But we would clear all of that up in a little while. But what I'm going to do is show you real quick how we're supposed to count a day. Brother, if you can read, go to Genesis chapter 1 and start at verse 4.
The book of Genesis chapter 1 and verse 4. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness.
So we always tell brothers that's a topic within itself. Read.
Verse 5. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day.
So right there you see the scripture says, and God saw the light. It says that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. In verse 5 it says, and God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. It says, and the evening and the morning were the first day. So right now, just like when we read in the scriptures and we go to into Exodus to show you all the 14th day, right now we're in the beginning of the 14th day right now. Right now, this is the beginning of a day. Just like tomorrow, tomorrow on our calendar, even though this man's calendar may say the 15th, but in actuality, in the morning time, we would still be considered in day one. We would still be in that first day. That first day is not over with because the scripture tells you, it says, and the even and the morning were the first day. So in order for us to get to day number 2, we have to get through, of course, the even, which is the time that we're in right now. Then the morning, which is going to be the daylight portion of tomorrow or of the day. And when we read in the scriptures, even Christ says, are there not 12 hours in a day? So the scriptures is showing us that we have 12 hours of darkness, and then we have 12 hours of daylight, which is a complete 24-hour day. So once we get to tomorrow night, that is going to be leading us into the beginning of day 15.
So in other words, our new moon for the beginning of the first month of our new year was April 1st, correct? So April 1st was the new moon, which was your first day. So your first day was, day 1 was April 1st at evening.
Right.
Day 2 was April 2nd at evening. Day 3 was April 3rd at evening, correct? And then day 4, day 5, day 6, I'm going to skip day 10, day 11. Y'all understand what I'm saying? At evening, day 12, day 13. Today is what? Day what? 14th. Look outside. Is it not evening? So this is the 14th day at evening. We was taught to forward it for some reason instead of counting it biblically.
Right.
It's that simple. If your new moon, you celebrate new moon on April 1st, that's your first day. The 14th day is right now at evening. It's that simple. But if you taught wrong from the beginning, you're not going to see it till the Spirit open your eyes to it.
Right. And
that's where we at right now.
Right. And the beautiful thing is, how the Most High just orchestrated everything where we was able to even look at this man's calendar. If you look at this man's calendar and you look at the numbers on the calendar, like Deacon Tawab just brought out, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 14. If you look at number 1 on that calendar, that 1 would represent the even. You would count from that even. Then once you look, I know it might be a little confusing the way that I did it, but between 1 and 2, you have that morning right there. The daylight, that morning portion that you have to get to before you even get to day 2. If that makes sense to anybody.
That makes plenty of sense.
Right.
It says, in the evening and morning was the first day, right? It's showing you that one complete day, 24 hours, it got to consist of evening, which is the dark time. And it got to consist of morning, which is the light portion. You know, morning goes in the afternoon. Go to Psalms 55 to show that.
Right. And while you going there,
55 verse 17, quick.
just like you had particular brothers that you know, got pride on them that wanted to challenge anybody on this topic, now on live, I say we challenge anybody on that topic. Prove us wrong.
Psalms 55 verse 17, right.
The book of Psalms, chapter 55 and verse 17. Evening.
Evening, stop. Evening is the dark portion of the day. Once the sun go down below the horizon, that starts your evening. Because you know your light is fading away now. The going down the sun, that's your evening. That will go from the sun going down to all of the dark portion of the day until you get that crack of light early in the morning. While it's dark, you know you get that crack of light in the sky. That's when what come, read?
And morning.
And morning, what else?
And at noon.
And we know noon starts at what they call 12 noon. And then after that, the noontime part comes, evening comes again, which takes you into day 2. So one day consists of evening and morning. That's why I say evening and morning was the first day. Your day starts at evening. That's simple.
Go back to Exodus chapter 12, read verse 3 again.
Book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 3. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb.
Hold on. Every man a lamb. Every man is supposed to get a lamb. Go ahead.
According to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house.
Right, a lamb for an house. Now go back to verse 6.
Verse 6. And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month.
Hold on. So like the brothers just explained, the 14th day starts at evening. So you're going to get you a lamb and prepare it, and then on that 14th day, you're going to eat that lamb. Keep going.
And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening.
Did you want to expound on that, T? Go ahead, you go ahead. No, I'm good with it. I'm good with it. Keep going.
They might need to know, though. All right. And ye shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. Use the verse 6, right? Yeah. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it. When they say the whole assembly, that's just talking about the children of Israel. You got to kill it because the strangers couldn't do this. Just the assembly of Israel do it. And we know you killed it at your house and you put it up. You got it on the 10th day. You put it up to the 14th day. And that evening, meaning when the sun go down the 14th day evening, which is now or right before really, you killed your lamb. Remember, the evening starts a day and also evening does what? It ends a day too. So right here in verse 6, you got the beginning of the 14th day because evening starts the day. That's when you kill your lamb. Go ahead, Jay.
Right. Keep reading, verse. So what we're doing right now, we're going over the ordinances of Passover. Go ahead.
Book of Exodus chapter 12 and verse 7. And they shall take it of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper door post of the houses, wherein they shall eat it.
Right. That's one ordinance. Go ahead.
Verse 8. And they shall eat the flesh in the night, roast with fire.
Hold on. Roast with fire. All this stuff is going to be important as we go on.
Remember, you can only roast the Passover. It has to be roasted. Remember that.
Go ahead.
And unleavened bread. And with bitter herbs they shall eat it.
And, you can go ahead.
Verse
The unleavened bread part. That's what got everybody going berserk. They think because they see unleavened bread, this starts the feast of unleavened bread. Unleavened bread is nothing uncommon in our culture. Somebody go to Genesis 19. Right. We always ate unleavened bread with our feast. What you think? We ate dinner rolls? Hawaiian rolls? We ate unleavened bread at our feast. Our foreparents did it. So people see unleavened bread on the menu, and they think that starts the feast of unleavened bread. Right. But the feast of unleavened bread and Passover are two different days because they represent two different things. Plain and simple. Each one has its own meaning. That's why they're on two different days, and we're going to prove it. Just hold on to your horses. And those who see it will see it. But what you're going to have the ignorant people, and that's just the ones who are unaware, really don't know. You're going to have the stupid people. Those are the ones that go to scriptures, they go to correct scriptures, but break it down horribly. Then you're going to have the arrogant. The arrogant are the traditional people. No matter what they was taught, they're going to just stick with what they was taught, even though the Bible says something different. Oh, it's going to get way better. It's going to get way better. Where you at?
Hey, verse 3. Hey, let me say this real quick. All these years we've been doing it wrong, and I repent of that.
Right. Likewise.
We all did. Well, we repent before the nation right now. It was wrong. But the scriptures never changed. The scriptures been the same. It's been man's understanding, just like Christianity. You was in your Christian church for a long time. God so loved the world meant everybody, right? And you believe that until you studied it more and saw something. When we came into the truth, which is the truth, no doubt about it, we was taught certain things, and we saw it that way until a contradiction was shown in the Bible, and we know the scriptures don't contradict. Right. So you fix the contradiction, or you just let the contradiction sit there. A lot of brothers just letting the contradiction sit there. A couple brothers tried, and I give them credit for trying, but they was 100% wrong. Yeah, sure. Other people haven't even touched it. Right. So what happens when you go to court? You got if you're the defense, you can go to the district attorney and ask for what's it called? A motion of discovery. They got to bring forth all the evidence. See, if you're on the jury, you want all the evidence so you can make a righteous decision. Because you don't want to deem an innocent man guilty, and you don't want to deem a guilty man innocent. The problem is some of your teachers in Israel is withholding evidence. And these brothers know the scriptures, so I'm going to say some of them are willfully withholding the evidence. But we're going to bring forth all the evidence for you as a person can examine yourself, whether you have a head, your husband or not, because everybody's responsible for their own soul salvation. So if you see it, yeah, take it to your husband and ask him, what's going on right here? Because the scriptures are plain and simple. But then you have other brothers who bring forth the evidence just like in court, but they tamper with it. Say you got a crooked cop. They had a murder, I'm just giving y'all an example. They had a murder scene, and it's footprints left behind. That crooked cop can cover that up by taking his finger and drawing a line through that footprint and throwing the evidence off, but they can't trace it back to a killer that he might be protecting. The scriptures is your evidence. If you get a novice or unlearned brother teaching it, they can mess up the evidence, and you won't get a clear case to get the understanding of what you're supposed to know. And that's where we're at right now. Go ahead, Jake.
You had pulled Genesis 19:3, I believe.
Go ahead.
The book of Genesis, chapter 19 and verse 3. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house, and he made them a feast.
He made them what?
He made them a feast.
And did what?
And did bake unleavened bread.
And they did what?
And they did eat.
Just to show you, we always ate unleavened bread with feast. That's nothing different. So when we had a Passover feast, unleavened bread was on the menu. That's nothing new to us. It didn't start the 7-day feast of unleavened bread. Because again, Passover was a memorial for something, and we had a feast for that. Go ahead, Jay.
All right, back to Exodus 12 and verse 8. I'm going to read it real quick. It says, and they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread and with bitter herbs. So bitter herbs is a part of the Passover meal. Keep that in mind. It's important. Now, pick back up at verse 9.
Book of Exodus chapter 12 and verse 9. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water.
So you cannot, I repeat, you cannot boil or seethe the Passover lamb. Go ahead.
But roast with fire.
Right. Keep going.
His head with his legs and with the pertinence thereof.
Right. So you're seeing all of these ordinances that's only associated with the Passover meal itself. Keep going.
Verse 10. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning. And that which remaineth of it until the morning, ye shall burn with fire.
So that's another ordinance of it. Keep going.
Verse 11. And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover.
Right. More ordinances that's only dealing with Passover. Keep going.
Verse 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night.
Hold on. So he's going to pass through Egypt this night. This night. Go ahead.
And will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord.
Right. So we read 9 of them. This one is the 10th plague that he's putting on Egypt. Come on.
Verse 13. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you.
I will do what?
I will pass over you.
I will do what?
I will pass over you.
So the Lord is going to pass over us. We're looking for that again. Keep going.
And the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt.
So right there, it shows you where you got the name Passover for. Passover memorializes the death of the death angel or the destroyer passing over Egypt, killing the firstborn of the Egyptians and their beasts. That's the event of Passover. That's what Passover is. It's destruction and death to our enemies. That's what Passover means. That's where it came from. I shall pass over you, the Lord himself, the destroyer. That's where you get the term Passover from. That's what Passover is about, the death angel. And that's putting up the blood on the doorpost. Notice, you can't put it on the floor. Why? Because it's symbolic of Christ. Like it says in Hebrews 10, you can't trample over the foot of the blood of Christ. So if you put it on the floor, you run the risk of trampling the blood. That's spiritual. That's why you put it on the side doorpost. But the Passover is to commemorate the passing over of the death angel, the Most High, starting off or beginning our exit out of Egypt. This is what initiated it, the Passover of the death angel.
Verse 14.
Verse 14. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial.
So this day shall be unto you for a memorial. A memorial. Come on.
And ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations.
So we have to keep this throughout all our generations. Come on.
Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever.
This is the end of the ordinances for Passover.
We just went through all the ordinances of Passover. That's why I tell you right there, in this day shall be unto you a memorial. What day? The day that he just was describing all those things that you got to do and all those things that's going to happen. That will be the memorial. And ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. And ye shall keep it a feast by ordinance forever. The ordinances that he just gave you was for Passover. That's it. He just gave you every ordinance for Passover.
Right. So now, and this is very subtle. Just off face value, you don't pick up on it. Now, read verse 15. Now it's going to go into the feast of unleavened bread. Go ahead.
Verse 15. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses.
Come on.
For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel.
Right. So you see, this is not talking about the actual Passover. This is talking about the 7-day feast of unleavened bread.
Hey, Jake, real quick. Just like when you finished up 14 before you went into 15, if anybody pay attention, do y'all know that it's written just like that in Leviticus? Man, go to Leviticus 23 real quick to show you that it's written the same exact way, so to speak, in Leviticus. Leviticus 23, start at verse 4.
Book of Leviticus, chapter 23 and verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord.
Hold on. The Bible says that these are the feasts of the Lord. We just now read, of course, in Exodus 12 and 14, it says, and this day shall be unto you for a memorial, it says, and ye should keep it a feast to the Lord. Read on.
Even holy convocations, which
Right.
ye
Go ahead.
which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
So it's talking about feast and holy convocation.
Right.
Feast and holy convocation. It don't every time you see something don't mean it's a holy convocation. We're gonna prove that too. But it's talking about feast, so it's gonna mention feast that's gonna proceed after this, and holy convocations. That's important.
Right. Read.
Verse 5. In the 14th day of the first month, at even.
Finish convocations. Where it says convocations.
Verse 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
And that's what we're doing now. When it comes down to the Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread, just like every other feast day, it has to be kept in its season. Read.
Verse 5. In the 14th day of the first month, at even, is the Lord's Passover.
All right, you can stop right there. This is what we just now read in Exodus 12, 1 all the way up into 14. Now that the brother is about to go into break it down and explaining the Feast of Unleavened Bread, when you read in Leviticus, it also does the same thing. It also shows you a distinction when it comes down to the Passover, that feast, going into unleavened bread, that Sabbath. Read. Or go ahead, you got it, Jake. Sorry.
Yeah, read verse 5 again.
Book of Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 5. In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover.
So when the 14th day starts, that's the Lord's Passover. Right. Now,
Because it starts at evening. Your day starts at, people just missing it. Your day starts at evening. Do anybody disagree that a day starts at evening? Do anybody disagree with that? That's a fact. A day starts at evening. So the 14th day started at evening. That's a fact. Nobody can dispute that a day starts at evening in Israel. You might got some kookamaniacs, a couple of them that do, but a day starts at evening. Right? Day also ends at evening too, don't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I could just say something.
That's why the Most High got to be meticulous in detail when he did atonement. That's what throwing a whole
Right.
lot of people off.
Right.
Go ahead, y'all can handle it. Go ahead.
let me,
Go ahead.
I just want to make one more point, and then you can go. But read just the first part of verse 6.
Verse 6. And on the 15th day of this same month is the feast of unleavened bread.
So verse 5 is the only verse dealing with the Passover. Does it say it's a holy convocation or a Sabbath? No, it doesn't. You can jump in now, or I'll keep going.
I just want to bring out one point. Turn it down a little bit. I just want to bring out one point, though. When it says, read 23 and verse 5 one more time.
Book of Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 5. In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover.
So a lot of people get it mixed up because I could be jumping the gun. But in Exodus, it talks about the 14th day at eve, you eat unleavened bread. So now they're getting it mixed up. But just like Deacon Nathan said, when we go back to Genesis chapter 1, it shows you every single day, and it says the evening and then the morning. So we should start that automatically, right? So now I have calendars. It's calendars on y'all tables, right? So y'all got the old calendar and the new calendar. One of the calendars says for class purpose only. And then the other one just says the high holy days. Just like Deacon Tawab just brung out. You look at April 1st. We say April 1st is the first month, right? First day of the month, right? That's what we say. But it's not. Not at all. It's not at all. Because if you go back to Genesis chapter 1 and verse 5, it says that the evening and the morning was the first day. So what day was that before that? Was it 0 day? Was it 0 at eve? What day was that before that? So when we read Exodus, we should be already programmed in our mind that Eve starts the day no matter what. So on this calendar, if you look at the new calendar now, you will see that it says that the first month is April 2nd. Because it is April 2nd. It's actually April 2nd. When April 2nd come in the beginning of that April 2nd, that is new moon. So right there, if I go any further right now, when you go to Leviticus and you talk about atonement, you will see what it says about atonement. Go to that for me real quick. I ain't jumping ahead of nobody, is I? 23 and verse 26.
Book of Leviticus, chapter 23, and verse 26.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, also on the 10th day of this 7th month.
On a what day?
Also on the 10th day of this 7th month.
Read on.
There shall be a day of atonement.
Uh-huh.
It shall be in holy convocation unto
Hold
you.
on, hold on. Back up just a little bit. It shall be what?
It shall be in holy convocation.
It's telling you it's a
Correct.
holy convocation. It did not say that anywhere for Passover.
Correct.
Why? Because every house had to have the Passover. Every house. It's not a holy convocation. Go ahead. You got the floor.
Read on.
Unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Read on.
Verse 28, and ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement,
Uh-huh.
to make an atonement for you before the Lord your God.
Jump to 32.
Verse 32, it shall be unto you for a Sabbath of rest,
So these are the ordinance of atonement. Read.
and ye shall afflict your souls in the 9th day of the month at even.
Correct. Read.
From even unto even shall ye celebrate your Sabbath.
So you see, a lot of people are going off of that. The Lord made it special to tell you this day is utmost important. So let me tell you when to start it. Start it at the 9th day at eve, right? So that's what we're doing with the calendar. When it comes to new moon, we said on April 1st at eve is new moon. But you will never see us say April 1st is new moon. And you will never see in the Bible that it says on the 9th day is atonement. Right? So now, for the listeners, you have to show us where it says that unleavened bread is on the 14th day. You're not going to see it. But I can show you where it says that Passover is on the 14th day. And you will not see Eve at all. You would just say 14th day is the Lord's Passover. So when do the 14th day start? In the beginning. I digress.
Verse 34. Yeah, Leviticus 23, go to 34.
Book of Leviticus, chapter 23, and verse 34. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of this 7th month.
The 15th day. The day starts at even, it ends at even, but you're keeping it within the 15th day. Jump down to 35.
Verse 35. On the first day shall be in a holy convocation.
It's a holy convocation. It's a high holy day. It's that simple. You don't see this anywhere for the ordinances of Passover. And then in the 8th day is a holy convocation. Now let's go backwards to the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Go down to verse 7. So there was only one verse dealing with Passover right here, and that was the 14th day is the Passover, 14th at even. So when that day comes in, you keep the Passover. So now we're talking about the 15th day of the same month, which is unleavened bread. Read verse 7.
Book of Leviticus, chapter 23, and verse 7. In the first day ye shall have an holy convocation.
Right, see, it's plain as day. It's a holy convocation. Come on.
Ye shall do no servile work therein.
No servile work therein. It's a Sabbath. Now let's go back to Exodus 12, unless somebody wanted to scrape some more meat off the bone. Oh, yeah. So we were Exodus chapter 12, and we were at verse 15.
Book of Exodus, chapter 12, and verse 15. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the seventh day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel.
So now Moses is receiving the ordinances associated with unleavened bread. It's that simple. It's that simple. Keep going.
Verse 16, and in the first day there shall be an holy convocation.
See? An holy convocation.
You didn't have that. You did not have that in the ordinance of Passover. Everybody had to kill a lamb at their house and eat in their own house. Remember that? Right now it's saying a holy convocation because it's talking about the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is separate. It's the day after Passover. I want to prove that with the scriptures too.
And it's the day that Israel gathered together to leave.
They don't, that's the evidence they keep.
Right.
Some of the evidence they keeping away from the people.
Keep going, bro.
No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you.
Come on.
Verse 17, and ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. For in this selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt.
Yeah, go ahead.
Therefore shall ye observe.
No.
Hold on. My bad. I just want to say one thing because that's something I thought Deacon Tawal was about to say. But when you look at Passover, we had to eat in haste, go in the house because the death angel is coming over us. Who was having a holy convocation at that time? Nobody. Who is actually rejoicing at that time? When we was doing it both together, we was eating the bitter herbs and rejoicing at the same time. That don't even match. We was supposed to be in a fearful mode. Just like when the new coming, where the righteous will scarcely get through. But so we're going to be rejoicing when the fire comes. When the fire is on the way, we look at it and say, guys, let's have a holy convocation. Let's come together and let's party.
Hey, go back to chapter 11 real quick. And give me verse 5. 5 and 6.
Book of Exodus, chapter 11 and verse 5. And all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die.
So that's what's going on the night of Passover. Go ahead.
From the firstborn of Pharaoh that sitteth upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the mill, and all the firstborn of beasts.
Even the beast, the firstborn of the beast, is getting put to death. Right. Go ahead. Verse 6.
Verse 6. And there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there was none like it, nor shall be like it any more.
Right. So the death angels coming through, putting people to death. It's not a time of celebration. Celebration is the next day when you come up out that place. Now, back to Exodus 12. Start at 17 again.
Book of Exodus chapter 12 and verse 17. And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. For in this selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever.
Right. You're going to keep the feast of unleavened bread forever. Come on, verse 18.
1 second. It's saying ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. What you going? I like looking at words. Like when you read, see what words being used. Some places going to say observe. Some places going to say keep. Observe unleavened bread. Keep unleavened bread. When it say observe, understand what's the meaning of it. Why it was instituted. Why it was for. When it say keep, partake. Partake in the feast. So when you observing it, I understand now that on unleavened bread, that's when the armies of Israel was delivered out of Egypt. That's how you observe that. When I keep it, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to have my feast with my unleavened bread. That makes sense? People overlook words. Why the Most High? Why he just didn't use keep every time? Or why he just didn't use observe every time? He's trying to show you something spiritually. But again, we get traditionalized. And we listen to somebody who taught us, who was taught by somebody else, who was taught by somebody else. And we keep the tradition going until you start reading more in the spirit and getting a better understanding of what's going on. So when you observe the Feast of Unleavened Bread, when you observe, know what the events are about. And that will bring clarity to what's going on.
Right. Now, here's where confusion comes in, because we have been taught that these things are the same, starting with verse 18. So read verse 18.
All right, verse 18. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even.
Right. So hold on. So it's giving you the starting point. You have been in the Passover on the 14th. So now at the end of the 14th, this even, you're going to start unleavened bread. These are, you're in, from verse 15 down, you're in ordinances for the feast of unleavened bread.
Y'all understand this now? Because now it's saying the 14th at evening. It's not the same connotation as the 14th at evening, verse 6. The 14th at evening, verse 6, that's the beginning of the day. Because the day starts at evening, right? The 14th at evening in verse 18 is the end of it. Like, that's why you go to Leviticus when it said atonement is on the 10th day. So is that the beginning of the 10th day or the end of the 10th day, Lord? He got meticulous and said the 9th at evening. Showing you that once the 9th ends and the 10th starts, that's when you keep atonement. Because he's letting us know that evening is twofold. It's the beginning of a day and it also ends a day. When a day ends, it simultaneously starts another day. Another thing that we're missing. And even when you look it up, and I ain't going to go there, I'm going to wait till we do the PowerPoint on it, it's two different Hebrew words. The word even in verse 6 and the word even in verse 18 is two different Hebrew words. Challenge anybody on it. And I know where y'all going to go when y'all think y'all right.
Man, I just gotta say, man, and that's not semantics. Because
Not
you know,
semantics. Yeah,
right, because you know, one of the things that man, I'm gonna call it Israelite 101. When brothers come into the truth, a word that they probably have never used in their life was semantics. But then when they come into the truth, they feel like that, by using that word, they're cutting somebody or
conjecture.
Right. But it's not semantics.
It's not semantics at all. What's happening, brothers are being lazy in their scholarship.
Right.
When you got contradictions, you got to take your scholarship a little deeper when your precepts ain't clearing it up. Because you can go, because one brother went to a whole lot of precepts. He actually went to the right scriptures, but the breakdown was horrible because he's unlearned. That's not a shot of nothing. And we're going to prove it. That's not a shot of nothing. Went to the correct scriptures, which I commend him on that because he tried his best. He's going with what he was taught and what he think is right. Even though our elder, this is what our elder was seeing, he just ain't had the full knowledge of it yet. But like I was saying, you had a brother going to the correct scriptures, but the breakdowns were awful. And we're going to go over those same scriptures and y'all going to see it clearly. So go ahead, Jake. So like we said, the word evening is two different connotations, verse 6 and verse 18. Challenge anybody on it. Very easy.
Read verse 18 one more time.
Book of Exodus chapter 12 and verse 18. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even.
Okay, now go to Numbers 28. I ain't going to go too deep in it. (28 and 17).
Book of Numbers, chapter 28 and verse 17. And in the 15th day of this month is the feast. 7 days shall unleavened bread be eaten.
All right, so when you were in Exodus 12 and 18, that's why it's important to understand the ordinance of it. Because 12 and 18 is talking about what? Unleavened bread. And what did the Lord just say? What did the Lord just say that unleavened bread was on? What day it was on? The 15th day. So it was just like atonement. But every time you read about an Eve, look at the ordinance of it. Look at the ordinance after, because he already told you the day of it. That's like him saying the Sabbath day is on the 7th day. But then you will see somewhere else he will say, well, the 6th day at Eve, you shall rest because the Lord made heaven and earth in 6 days. That's telling you that he's talking about the beginning of the 7th day. That's all the Lord was doing when he was switching up the eves. You will never see him have confusion at all. You will definitely know. go back.
Because if you look at that wrong, if you think what we've been taught, like in verse 18, then when is your Sabbath going to start? The seventh day when it's going out at even? Yeah, you're gonna start. You're gonna keep Sabbath on the first day of the week like the Christians do?
So if the Sabbath is on the seventh day, what's that, the seventh day of Eve all of a sudden? It's on the seventh day. So that seventh day started on the sixth day at evening, which took you right into the seventh day, which now makes it the seventh day.
Right. Go back up to read verse 16. Since we're here, read verse 16. It's Numbers 28 and 16. It just goes along with everything else that we bringing out. It's perfect.
Book of Numbers, chapter 28 and verse 16. And in the 14th day of the first month is the Passover of the Lord.
So the 14th day starts at even when it gets dark. It's not telling you here at even. And it says in the 14th day, not at the end of it. In the 14th day. So that's between even and even. Now back to Exodus 12 and 18.
Man, you sure they won't leaving out on the 14th day? Man, because if they was, man, they were being very disobedient.
Right. Read just the first part of verse 18.
The book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 18. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month.
Hold on. On the 14th day, not in the 15th day. On the 14th day at even, giving you the starting point. When this day is going out, you're going to keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Go ahead.
Ye shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even.
Right, go ahead.
Verse 19. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses.
More ordinances. Go ahead.
For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land.
Right, come on.
Verse 20. Ye shall eat nothing leavened in all your habitations. Shall ye eat unleavened bread.
Right, so this is the end of the ordinances for unleavened bread. Go ahead.
Verse 21. Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel.
Right, so now he's calling the elders, bringing the elders together. That's another thing we're not doing. Go ahead.
And said unto them, draw out and take you a lamb according to your families, and kill the Passover.
And kill the Passover. Kill the Passover. So now when you read in verse 6, you're going to kill the Passover. You're going to kill the lamb. So now Moses is giving the ordinances to the leaders in Israel, and it said, and kill the Passover. Give me 1 Chronicles 30. No, 2 Chronicles 30. Verse 15.
The book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 30 and verse 15. Then they killed the Passover on the 14th day of the second month.
They killed the Passover on the 14th day of the second month. Now, chapter 35. Chapter 35 and verse 1.
The book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 35 and verse 1. Moreover, Josiah kept a Passover unto the Lord in Jerusalem, and they killed the Passover on the 14th day of the first month.
Right, so the killing of the Passover itself is on the 14th day of the first month. First Esdras, chapter 1. Give me a second, let me get there. Verse 1.
The book of First Ezra, chapter 1 and verse 1. And Josiah held the feast of the Passover in Jerusalem unto his Lord, and offered the Passover the 14th day of the first month.
So how many precepts we got to go to get you to understand that? It's simple. It's the 14th day. First Ezra 7. We're going to come back to this stuff too. In verse 10.
Book of First Ezra, chapter 7 and verse 10. And the children of Israel that were of the captivity held the Passover the 14th day of the first month. After that, the priests and the Levites were sanctified.
So are we good? We understand that Passover itself is on the
watch
14th.
Hey, Jay.
Yeah,
man,
go ahead.
Man, just for the road, go to Ezra chapter 6 and verse 19. Ezra chapter 6 and verse 19. Why is it? I mean, it's crazy. It shows you that the children of Israel are so hard-headed, it had to be written 50 million times over and over and over. Read that real quick.
The book of Ezra, chapter 6 and verse 19. And the children of the captivity kept the Passover upon the 14th day of the first month.
There you go again.
Right.
Look, I just had to say something about that. Because you have people that say that Passover begins the 15th day. It cannot be 2 days. Passover is 1 day. He only passed over one night. How is it the 14th and the 15th?
Because they do not want to separate unleavened bread from Passover, and you get caught up in your own folly. That's why you got scriptures that are going to bump head with that belief.
And that's the main part that everybody gotta understand really, is that if you don't separate them two in one night, you will be emotional. You will be bipolar. You will be sad and happy at the same time.
So the Passover is on the 14th. Let's go back to Exodus 12.
See, it's so important we're going through the ordinance, because until you understand the ordinance, you're going to go to the Gospels and be lost. You got to understand the ordinances and the statutes that the Most High gave for Passover and unleavened bread, because you're going to be lost and confused in the New Testament. When all the scriptures in there, when you go to Luke 22, Matthew 26, all of them saying the same thing, just in a different way.
Now, so verse 18, the second part of verse 18 says, until, well, the 14th day of the month at even, at the end of the day. So the 15th. You're going to eat unleavened bread until the 21st day, the 1 and 20th day of the month at even. That's the 7 days of unleavened bread. Right. So if you have 7 days of unleavened bread, and then the Passover is the day before that, all of it is 8 days, y'all.
Passover and unleavened bread together. We still going to prove it. We ain't hit you with the hard knocks yet. We're just giving you an understanding of what's going on for you can start to see it.
Right.
But if somebody just don't want to separate it, that's on them. But the scripture is clear, it's separated. It's 2 feasts that come back to back. That's all it is. 2 feast days that come back to back. Passover, the unleavened bread, which is actually your holy convocation and your Sabbath. Won't prove it. No problem at all.
Verse 21. No, pick back up at verse 22.
The book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 22. And ye shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 side posts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out the door of his house until the morning.
Remember that you cannot go out of your house until the morning. Morning is when you get that little crack, that little glow in the sky, and then later the sun comes out. But that little crack in the sky, like it talks about when Mary went to the sepulchre while it was still dark, but it was dawning. That means the sun rays were starting to break through the horizon. They ain't come above the horizon yet, but that light started lighting up the sky just a little bit, but you still got that tent of darkness over the bottom part of the earth. Right. Once that first light come in that sky that you see, but it still got that tent of dark, that's morning. Morning is upon you. Hey, so you cannot leave out of the house till morning. That's a command from the Most High. And as we read down, you will see that Israel obeyed everything that Moses told them through the Most High.
And remember, with just like what Deacon Tawab was just bringing out, pay attention to this part, all of this right here. Because when it says, and ye should take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood, this is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 side posts. It says, with the blood that is in the basin, and none of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning.
1 a.m. is not the morning. That's right. Esau in Roman time. Right. 1 a.m. is not the morning time. 2 a.m. is not the morning time. 12 a.m., hold on. 12 a.m. is midnight. It's telling you 12 a.m. is the middle of the night. That's the middle of it. So how in the heck is 1 a.m. morning time? Right. An hour later. You just an hour before 12 a.m. is the middle of the night. So how an hour, 2 hours later is morning time? Right. You're still in the night portion.
And this is also showing you that when you pay attention to, we're still in the 14th day right here at this verse. Now we're in the 14th day. The Passover, everything is taking place. Pay attention to when we read and we start going through the events leading up to Christ being crucified, to every single thing that happened, because this is what's going to help to get an understanding of what was going on to give you an answer to John 19.
So on the side post, they killed the Passover at the going down of the sun at the beginning of the 14th. Soon they killed the Passover, they drained the blood, because you got to drain the lamb. You put some of the blood in the basin, and you strike your side post with the blood. That's the beginning, the very beginning of the 14th, which is called between the evenings. So when the sun went down until night, so when the sun went down, that's when they slayed the animal. They got the blood, and you start preparing it. Once you shave it, get all the guts out, all that stuff out, roast it. That's a process. That takes like 4 to 5 hours. We ate that's why I say you should eat it at night. We ate it way later that night. Way later that night. Because to shave the lamb, to drain it, to get the guts out and all that stuff, it takes time. It takes some hours to do that. So that just gives you a time frame of when we ate it. We ate it real late at night. Probably about, this opinion just based on killing the lamb, shaving the lamb, all that stuff, preparing it. You probably ate about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Because the death angel ain't come till midnight. So it only takes what y'all get, 30-minute lunch breaks at work? It don't take that long to eat Passover. You know? So people don't put this in real life terms. You got to get it, slay it, prep it. That's going to take some hours to do. So we ate Passover real late. That's why I say eat it in the night. That's different than the evening. All these words have different meanings. Like I said, brothers are lazy. They want to listen to their teachers. Like you don't got to look up nothing. You be the fool. You be the fool.
Right. So what we have read up until this point is the ordinances being given to Moses for Passover and unleavened bread. And then now he's given the ordinances for Passover to the elders so they can tell the rest of Israel what to do and then do it and watch it play out.
So he's going back to give you more ordinances on Passover, because what we read 1 through 15, 14, that was the Lord telling Moses about Passover. And then Moses spoke about unleavened bread after that. Now he's going back to Passover to explain it to us, to the children of Israel, to give them the ordinances now.
All right, verse 23.
Verse 23. For the Lord will pass through to smite the Egyptians. And when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the 2 side posts, the Lord will pass over the door and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you.
Again, telling you what Passover is. The destroyer passing over. That's what Passover is. Go.
Pay attention to this, y'all. Verse 24.
Verse 24. And ye shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever.
Come on.
Verse 25. And it shall come to pass, when ye be come to the land which the Lord will give you, according as he hath promised, that ye shall keep this service.
Right, ye shall keep this service. Come on.
And it shall come to pass, when your children shall say unto you, what mean ye by this service?
So when your children come and ask you, why is it we're keeping the Passover?
Why is we putting all this blood? Because it say you got to keep the same service. Why are we putting this blood up again? Why are we doing this? You got to explain to them why we're doing this. And that would thus tell you what Passover is.
Right. Verse 27.
Verse 27, that ye shall say, it is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover.
Who did what?
Who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt.
That's what Passover is about. That's what Passover is about. Go ahead.
When he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses, and the people bowed the head and worshiped.
Go ahead, verse 28.
Verse 28, and the children of Israel went away and did as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they.
Oh, they what now? Read that again.
And the children of Israel went away and did as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron.
As the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron, the children of Israel did it, meaning when he said don't come out the house that morning, they did it. So you got little unlearned Israelites telling you they left right after Passover. They don't know the story. That's why we're going through this detailed. We never went through the story detailed since I've been in truth 10 years. Never went through a detail like this. It said they did what the Lord commanded. So if the Lord, it don't matter what the Egyptians, it don't matter if the Egyptians came banging in on their door, leave. No, the Lord told us don't leave till morning time. We're going to deal with that part too about when they came and told us to go ahead on. We obeyed everything that the Most High told Moses and Aaron. We obeyed it. So if he said don't come out of the house that morning, when that sun starts to come up, you want to stay in the house that morning. Because you know why? They just about to witness all the Egyptians' firstborn dying. You think they want to die?
Now begs the question, why didn't Moses give the elders of Israel the ordinances for unleavened bread?
Good question.
He didn't say nothing about unleavened bread and keeping unleavened bread 7 days. Nothing about it. He gave them the ordinances for Passover, and they did as he said. Verse 29.
Verse 29, and it came to pass that at midnight the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle.
So the Lord did as he said he was going to do, and there was a great cry in Egypt because all the firstborn were put to death. Come on.
Verse 30, and Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Egyptians.
Hold on. There's a semicolon right there, right? Yeah. Go ahead.
And there was a great cry in Egypt,
And another semicolon. Go ahead.
for there was not a house where there was not one dead.
Right. So the Lord did exactly as he said he was going to do. All firstborn, except the children of Israel. Go ahead.
Verse 31, and he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, rise up and get you forth from among my people, both ye and the children of Israel, and go serve the Lord as ye have said.
So brothers ignore that they couldn't leave till morning. They read this and think that we're going to listen to Pharaoh over the Most High. So Pharaoh wanted us to leave, so did Pharaoh come in a stubborn type of way? Let's see what demeanor his servants came. Go to Exodus 11, about verse 4.
Book of Exodus chapter 11 and verse 4.
And put yourself in real time. If your children dying, the first thing on your mind ain't going to be the Israelites. The first thing on your mind is try to resuscitate your children. Call your doctors, your witch lords, whatever they are. Try to bring them back. So they probably spent much time just trying to do that. Then they realized this is another plague from that darn Israelite God. Think about it. Put yourself in real time. You're going to try to save your child. You're going to wake, because they just died. So you're going to try certain things to try to bring your child back. What good mother and father won't do that? And then later, when that came to no avail, of course, there's got to be another plague. Tell them they can get out of here now. But let's see what posture they took. Were they arrogant? Did they want to fight us? 11 started verse 4, I think.
The book of Exodus chapter 11 and verse 4. And Moses said, thus saith the Lord, about midnight will I go out into the midst of Egypt. And all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sitteth upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the mill, and all the firstborn of beasts. And there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there was none like it, nor shall be like it anymore.
A great cry. You see how much they was mourning their children first? It's going to be a great cry once they realize they're not coming back. And once they realize their children not coming back, get them Israelites out of here. But let's see how they came to us. Come on.
Verse 7, but against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue.
Look, this plague and this death hit Egypt so hard. Their fiercest beasts, dogs and watchdogs, when we was about to leave, wouldn't even bark at us. Wouldn't even growl at us because they were shook too. Because guess what? Some of them lost their firstborn too, even their pups. They couldn't even. See, we use this scripture at camp when we was taught. We was talking about the other nations can't raise a tongue. No, it was literally talking about their animals wouldn't even, they would be in subjection to us basically. Wouldn't even growl or bark at us when we was leaving out. That's how much strength and power we left out with. Read.
Against man or beast, that ye may know how that the Lord doeth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. And all these thy servants shall come down unto me.
So Pharaoh's servants should come under Moses and us and what?
And all these thy servants shall come down unto me and bow down themselves.
And do what?
And bow down.
Oh, no. Get out right now. Do what?
And bow down.
They came humbly. They bowed down to us. So when they came and said, y'all going to leave, you know what we said? Yeah, we're going to leave in the morning. We're going to leave in the morning. Y'all just hold on. And they bowed down to us because we're going to do what the Lord said. We ain't going to do what the captive, the slave master said because they just got judged. They treading on thin ice. So they came bowing down to us. Go ahead.
Unto me, saying, get thee out, and all the people that follow thee. And after that, I will go out.
So they came bowing down, telling us to leave, but of course we couldn't leave till the morning because the scripture said we obeyed everything that the Most High, Moses and Aaron said.
So back to Exodus 12. We were at verse 31. Yeah, read verse 31 again.
The book of Exodus chapter 12 and verse 31. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, rise up and get you forth from among my people, both ye and the children of Israel, and go, serve the Lord as ye have said.
Verse 32.
Also take your flocks and your herds as ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also.
So Esau estimates that Israel numbered 1.8 million, and their flocks, and their herd and cattle. Are you going to, so in the same night, you mean you're going to gather at least 2.5 million souls if you include the animals, and you're going to leave them out. Man, it won't no cargo planes back then, no big buses. Everything moves slow.
Again, put yourself in real time. Whatever state you're in, imagine your surrounding cities and counties. Imagine you got to get 3 of your counties or cities together, all the people together, and meet at one spot. And there's no transportation.
The word got to go out.
That's the million plus people. The word got to go out, all this. You got to bring the strangers, the Israelite men, the Israelite women, the Israelite children, and all your flock. That's going to take some time, hours. And then you got to go spoil the Egyptians. Go ahead.
In verse 33.
Verse 33. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste. For they said, we be all dead men.
See, just because they wanted us to go quickly, we still on the Most High's clock. They wanted us to go quickly because they know once we're gone, ain't no more of these plagues going to come. So notice, everything was in Pharaoh's hand. So, but right now, the Egyptians themselves, they're upset. That's one reason that Pharaoh had to let us go, because once the people ain't behind you no more, you got to submit.
Right.
So they want us going right now, but we're on the Most High's time. We can't leave till morning. You got to keep drilling at home because you're going to have little silly brothers that just going to overlook that and think we're going to obey the Egyptians all of a sudden. When the Egyptians now under subjection to us because we just killed all their firstborn where the Lord did it. Ball in our court now. They can't call no shots.
Verse 34. Watch this, y'all.
Verse 34. And the people took their dough before it was leavened.
Right. Took their dough before it was leavened. Go ahead.
Their kneading troughs being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders.
Yeah, they're getting ready to leave. Go ahead.
Verse 35. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses. And they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and remnant.
Come on.
Verse 36. And the Lord.
Yeah, go ahead.
Verse 36. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians.
This even go all the way back to Genesis 15. You go back to Genesis 15. The Lord told Moses that he was going to judge that nation that we was going to be in subjection to, and we was going to come out with spoils. Now go, keep going.
Verse 37. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses.
Hold on. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses. Have they kept the Feast of Unleavened Bread yet, y'all? No. So the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses. We're leaving. Go ahead.
To Sukkah, about 600,000 on foot that were men beside children.
So it said we journeyed from Ramses. Is Ramses still in Egypt? Is Sukkah still in Egypt? So we're not out of Egypt yet, right? So we're still in the land of bondage, right? So we're not yet free, right? Judgment just was executed on the Egyptians, right? But we're not free yet, right? I'm just making sure that, some people think we're already out of Egypt for some strange reason.
So verse 37, it said, and the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses.
Hey, Jake, I got a question. What time of day this is now? It said they journeyed from Ramses. What's going on now? What time of day this is?
We're going to read it.
I want to know, because somebody might still think this is 2 a.m.
Yeah. So, yeah, keep going. So go back to 38. Pick back up at 38.
Verse 38. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle.
Come on.
And they baked unleavened cakes of the dough, which they brought forth out of Egypt.
They baked unleavened cakes. So with the Passover meal, they had unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Here, they're baking unleavened cakes. Come on.
For it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt and could not tarry. Neither had they prepared for themselves any victual.
Come on.
Verse 40. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel, who dwelt in Egypt, was 430 years.
Come on.
And it came to pass, at the end of the 430 years, even the selfsame day it came to pass, that all the host of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt.
Right. All the host of the Lord, meaning the children of Israel, went forth out of the land of Egypt. We did not do that on Passover night.
We couldn't have did it on Passover night because we couldn't come out the house till the morning.
Right.
Right? Y'all do understand that, right? You had Passover. The death angel came at 12 midnight. We couldn't leave out the house till the morning time. Once we left out the house, we had to gather everybody. We had to get all our herds and flocks. We had to spoil the Egyptians. That took a lot of time. The Bible going to tell you how much time it took. And then we left out of Ramses. And now, you ready to go in verse 42?
Yeah. Let me say this. The children of Israel coming together and leaving is a convocation. They're coming together. That's what we do on holy convocations. Right? It was not a holy convocation on the night of Passover. Yeah, verse 42.
Verse 42. It is a night.
It is a what?
It is a night.
It is a what?
A night. Verse 41. And it came to pass, at the end of the 430 years, even the selfsame day it came to pass, that all the host of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. It is a night to be much observed.
That was not Passover night.
Right.
That was the following night. After they got up in the morning, after they gathered everybody, after they spoiled the Egyptians, by that time they did all that, the next night had came. The next night had came. Numbers 33.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Numbers 33. Now, Leviticus chapter 22 first. It's going to be a part 2. Leviticus chapter 22, verse 30.
Book of Leviticus, chapter 22 and verse 30. On the same day,
On the same day,
it shall be eaten up.
this is talking about your sacrifice of Thanksgiving. So if you sacrifice a Thanksgiving, it should be eaten on the same day you sacrifice it. Come on.
Ye shall leave none of it until the morrow.
Tomorrow is the next complete day. So if you ate it at evening time, when it says you should not leave none till tomorrow, tomorrow will be the next evening, not the morning, because you're still in the same day. This is not Esau's calendar. If you think the morning time is another day, you're stuck in Roman time.
See,
You need to check your Israelite bloodline if you think that's right.
So out of the ordinance of the Passover lamb, you shall leave none of it till the morning.
Right. So it's showing you tomorrow is a whole 24 hours, showing you it's another whole day. Go to Leviticus 7, verse 16. Because brothers confused on what tomorrow is. That's why I say brothers lazy. They don't want to do no type of word study.
You start at 15.
Elder used to tell you step up your scholarship game. Right. 7 verse 15, 16. Which one is it, Jake?
You can start at 15. I would start at 15.
Book of Leviticus, chapter 7 and verse 15. And the flesh of the sacrifice of his peace offerings for thanksgiving shall be eaten the same day that it is offered. He shall not leave any of it until the morning.
Hold on. And the flesh of the sacrifice of peace offering of thanksgiving shall be eaten the same day it is offered.
He shall not leave any of it until the morning.
Okay.
But if the sacrifice of his offering be a vow or a voluntary offering, it shall be eaten the same day.
Now check this out. Now I give you a distinction of a different sacrifice. So when it said, and the flesh, back in verse 15 for to explain it clearly, and the flesh of the sacrifice of the peace offerings for thanksgiving shall be eaten the same day that it is offered. So if you eat it at the evening time, it got to be eaten in that evening. And it said he should not leave any of it till morning. So when the sun come up, all of it got to be gone. Right? That's still the same day, though. It's still the same day, but when the light come up for that day, all of it should be gone. Now it's making a distinction in verse 16 about a different offering. Read it.
But verse 16. But if the sacrifice of his offering be a vow or a voluntary offering, it shall be eaten the same day that he offered his sacrifice.
So this offering should be offered the same, should be eaten the same day. Come on. You got 24 hours to eat it. Come on.
And on the morrow.
On what?
And on the morrow.
On the morrow is the complete next day.
Right.
24 hours away from when you first ate it. The complete next day. Go ahead.
Also, the remainder of it shall be eaten.
So tomorrow is day 2.
Right.
Watch how it prove itself. Come on.
Verse 17. But the remainder of the flesh of the sacrifice on the third day.
On what?
On the third day.
On what?
On the third day.
Showing you tomorrow is the second day. So when you sacrifice it, you got a day to eat it. Then on the morrow would be a whole complete different evening and morning, a whole complete different day. That's the morrow. And then it even talks about a third day.
Right, after the morrow is the third day.
If you're just willing to study just a little bit, you won't mess up scriptures when you try to teach it. And only the unlearned want to believe what you're saying. I'm sitting back laughing at people's videos. Like, oh my goodness, no, he didn't just say that. I'm laughing at it. They still my brothers, and I can appreciate a brother trying. But you was 100% wrong. I mean, that's novice.
Hey, look, real quick, man, just read it, man. 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15, man.
Hold on, now, hold that. No, we can't break. Hold on. Hold that. We're going there, but hold. Because it's going to take.
AT.
So, yeah.
I wanted to just close that chapter on the morrow real quick.
Okay. So they see that. They see tomorrow is a complete whole different day.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead, Judah.
Exodus chapter 9 and verse 5. Because if you don't, some say if you don't see tomorrow, it means tomorrow means something different from the morrow. Yeah, that's what they think. It means something different from the morrow. So let's see. Okay. 5.
Book of Exodus, chapter 9 and verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord appointed a set time, saying, Tomorrow the Lord shall do this thing in the land.
Read.
Verse 6. And the Lord did that thing on the morrow.
On when?
On the morrow.
Read on.
And all the cattle of Egypt died, but of the cattle of the children of Israel died not one.
So it's showing right there tomorrow and tomorrow. Tomorrow means 24 hours after, another whole day. When it say tomorrow just means later. It could mean later in that same day, or it could mean later another whole day, just like in this verse. So if I tell Al, man, I'm going to do it later, I can mean in 3 hours from now, or I can mean 3 days from now. That's what tomorrow means. Tomorrow, straight up, a whole different day. Now go to Numbers 33. Verse 3.
Book of Numbers, chapter 33 and verse 3. And they departed from Ramses in the first month on the 15th day.
So we left Ramses on the 15th day. That's why I asked when they said we departed from Ramses, the sucker, said what time of day this was, because they're going to give you a time frame. Come on.
Of the first month, on the morrow, after the Passover, the children of Israel went out with an high hand in the sight of all the Egyptians.
Hold on. It's saying they departed from Ramses in the first month. On the 15th day of the first month, on the morrow. What the morrow means, class? The next complete whole other day. Hold on, we got a major problem right here. I'm going to read it again. And they departed from Ramses in the first month. On the 15th day of the first month, on the morrow after Passover. So, if you're saying Passover and unleavened bread is the exact same thing, meaning when you eat your Passover meal, that starts the first day of unleavened bread, and you're saying that's the 15th, why is the scripture saying that we left out of Ramses on the 15th, the day after Passover? So if it's the day after Passover and it was the 15th, it's showing you that the Passover was on the 14th, the beginning of the 14th. And we left after that on the 15th, which is another whole day. You can't come back off that. Repent. If all y'all serious about serving the Lord, instead of your elders, who was obviously taught wrong, what you gonna do now? You can't get around this. We left Ramses on the 15th, tomorrow after the Passover, meaning 24 hours after the Passover, we left. So Passover and unleavened bread is not the same night. Dum-dums. And I call you dumb because you're leading the people wrong and you're too arrogant and prideful to see it. Like I said, did your elder bring this out? They're withholding evidence. They want to make innocent men look guilty. They want to say innocent men are in sin. We're going to see who really in sin when you can't understand certain scriptures. Why did they leave these scriptures out? Now, watch what they do now. They're going to try to backtrack and then bring the scriptures out and twist it up. Why they ain't bring it out? The 15th, tomorrow, after Passover. After Passover. You missed that in your 30 years of the truth? You missed that in your 20 years of the truth? Your 10 years of the truth? You missed that?
Man,
or you want to be stuck in your tradition? This is Christianity all over again.
That's what
the
I was about
past,
to
hold
say.
on, bro.
Man.
The pastors see it, you show them. Well, world means Israel. It means no, that's everybody. That's what's going on in Israel. They standing in their traditions. And they don't want to say they was wrong. We stood up and said, man, we repent, man. We was wrong. We're going to show y'all, and everything going to line up perfectly. Go ahead, bro.
But it shows you that even particular elders in this truth, their elders that taught them were wrong. Because you had a particular elder, for example, years ago that taught that that the Lord was going to return back in the year 2000. Did Christ come back in the year 2000 yet? Is he here? No. So it showed you that that elder that made that prophecy was off. And
Right.
that elder that taught that prophecy, other elders have learned from him, showing you that even in this truth, some of these elders could be wrong. So what we have done, just like I was about to say, when we read in, for example, 1 Timothy chapter 2, the scripture says, go ahead and read it real quick. 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15, and this is what we have to do. Because this is not about proving anything to men, but it's about what the scripture said. Read it real quick.
The book of 1 Timothy, chapter 2, and verse 15. Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing, if they continue in faith and charity.
1 Timothy chapter 2. Let me see. I'm sorry, y'all. 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15. Appreciate that. 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15.
The book of 2 Timothy, chapter 2, and verse 15. Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth.
And this is what we have done. We've sat down months after months, week after weeks, to divide this word to the best of our abilities with the Spirit of Christ, showing us. The thing is, a lot of men are stuck with the traditions of men, even in what we call the truth. Like Deacon Tawab said, that's no different than your pastor in Christianity. And just like the brother was bringing out, when you see brothers bringing out an understanding, all of a sudden a brother's in the midst of sin. Prove it. The scripture says to prove all things.
Prove it.
If any of us is sitting up here in the midst of sin, stand before us, call us, go live as all brothers always want to do, and prove that we are in the midst of sin. But once again, pride comes on brothers. You got brothers that haven't even been in the truth 4 years, don't even understand how to treat your wife. Break down the scriptures and want to how to treat your wife, but want to get up and debate other brothers and try to prove somebody wrong when it comes down to the Passover.
Don't even know when the Sabbath starts.
Don't even know when the Sabbath starts.
Hey, give me Acts chapter 3 and verse 17.
So what you got? Let me know when you get it. What you got? People will listen to their elders. Like you said, Nathaniel, you brought out something good. Your elder learned this from somebody. And it was admittedly and told that some of the stuff that their elders was doing was wicked. So they, out of their own volition, and we thank them for bringing us to the truth that we're the Israelites, and I'm talking about the 7 heads. We thank them. But from my understanding, they did a whole lot of wicked stuff. So if you was doing wicked stuff, they was in the midst of sin. So you actually learned your understanding of a Passover from people who was in the midst of sin. I can say that because that's coming from some of the elders like, man, yeah, they did some wicked stuff. But they will always pay homage to the 7 heads because they did bring the truth of, you being Israel hitting the streets. They took that to another level. But at the same time, they would say, yeah, they was doing some wicked stuff too. So if they was doing some wicked stuff, it's safe to say they was in the midst of some sin, right? But those are the ones that taught you Passover. But we're seeing now that it's been taught wrong. Now you got plenty, you got other camps that see it the same way we see it.
Yep.
It's not hidden at all.
So,
But the scriptures are clear.
Right.
Crystal clear.
So the bottom line is that we seek this thing out, we examine it, and then we repent. Acts 3 and 17.
The book of Acts, chapter 3, and verse 17. And now, brethren, I wote that through ignorance, we were going by what we were taught, but we examined this. We examined this. We tried to break this, and we couldn't. In the process, all we did was find more precepts proving it to be true. Go ahead. That through ignorance ye did it,
Right, you did this through ignorance. Go ahead.
as did also your rulers.
The people that came before you, they were in ignorance too. So now you get it right and you repent. That's it.
Hey,
Acts 3. Yeah, that was it.
Good. That's the spirit.
Book of Acts chapter 3 and verse 11. And as the lame man which was healed.
17, Acts chapter 17, verse 11.
Book of Acts chapter 17 and verse 11. These were more noble than those in Thessalonica.
That's what we're looking for. We're looking for noble men. Because I had asked a brother about Numbers 33. He was like, he been had seen that. I said, that don't bother you? He said, nope. That tells me he has no understanding of Passover. How that does not bother you when it said we left on the 15th, the morrow after Passover. So obviously you don't understand what these words mean. Because you believe that Passover and unleavened bread both are on the 15th. But if we left on the 15th, the morrow after Passover, showing you that Passover was on the 14th, there's a problem. So I don't know if it's a spiritual block on certain brothers, but the scripture said these other men, they were more noble. Why were they noble? Go ahead.
In that they received the word with all readiness of mind and searched the scriptures daily.
They did what?
And searched the scriptures daily.
That's all we ask. We ain't telling nobody to take our word for nothing. We tell you to search the scriptures and let's look at it, for all the scriptures can be confluent. All of it can flow together and you got no contradiction.
Hey, T, it says, with all readiness of mind.
You know what? We talked to one brother, and we like, he was breaking something down in John 19, totally wrong. Stuck. All right, bro, get back with me. Never got back with me. You know why? Because he's following man. Because his elder prophet said, leave those brothers alone. They're in madness. And you listen to him like a wimp, coward.
Because they don't.
Y'all know who I'm talking to. Y'all got my phone number, coward.
Hey,
That's a coward, man. You never got back with me. So if we're so wrong, why haven't we been corrected yet?
because they can't.
We actually call brothers, correct us. Yeah. Nobody correct us. Brothers think they know something, but you still contradicting other scriptures. What you're saying don't make sense. It makes no sense. It makes no sense what they're saying the preparation is on John 19. We're going to handle that on part 2. We're going to touch all that. All that little scripture y'all going to, we're going to touch it and dismantle it in the spirit of Hamashiach.
Hey.
Yeah, you got to get Hebrew on them sometimes. Of Hamashiach. Yeah, Yahweh Shah Hamashiach.
But but it says they received the word with all readiness of mind. You can't have a closed mind when it comes to the scriptures. Because you might be wrong. You just might be wrong.
Let me tell you like this. Sisters, question your husband on that. It said if any woman has a question, let her ask her husband at home. Ask him. Because you can see Numbers 33. He might not. Your salvation is upstate now. I can't teach you. You got a husband, you need to ask him about it. Is he following man? Do he want a ranking position? Man, we don't give a damn about no ranking position. Rank me with Christ and that's it. Straight up. We could care less what any of y'all elders say. I don't respect half of y'all anyway. Been in truth how long?
Look.
How many?
If you could get Proverbs 29 and 11 real quick. Because what happened was, it was like disrespect went on. And it had to be addressed. Disrespect went on, and you don't even know the scriptures like that. Being new in this truth taught that you had to follow a wise man and always be at their doorstep. But you know the difference. You know when you see a wise man or a foolish man. Read that.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 29 and verse 11. A fool uttereth all his mind.
A fool do what?
A fool uttereth all his mind.
A fool played all their cards online. They let us dismember they whole hand. They don't have nothing in the chamber, shooting blanks in the first place, but they reloaded and gave us more blanks. And that's the problem, though. That's the problem, that they gave their whole hand, and you did not see none of these brothers up here or in this congregation get on no platform and say anything about it. Why? Read.
But a wise man keepeth it in till afterward.
This is that afterward. This is the morrow.
We called up brothers individually or whatever, talked to different brothers and told them stuff. We didn't go on social media and say nothing. So why did other people feel like they had to go on social media and address it?
and got more. We not finished. We got more.
Right, yeah, because what we going through, these ordinances that go for each one of these feasts, you're going to see them in the New Testament.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to those little questions. Because what happened? Somebody read 2 verses out of the Old Testament. Give y'all 2 verses out of the Old Testament of law, and then run to the gospel without giving you the whole rundown so you can understand the ordinance. Like Nehemiah 8:8 says, you got to get the understanding of the laws. We was taught from Israelite 101 again. You got to understand the laws before you understand Christ.
Hey, read verse 12.
Verse 12. If a ruler hearken to lies.
If what?
If a ruler hearken to lies.
If your ruler hearken to lies, and you know where the lies come from. It comes from straight from their own counsel. It comes from their pride. That's where the lies come from, where they could say, now let's break down Passover and start talking about unleavened bread. That's pride. But we're not going to stop at the leaders. Read.
All his servants are wicked.
Your servants are wicked too. Your servants are wicked too. And at the end of the day, we was humbled up here. We was humbled. This whole congregation was humbled. We let y'all say what y'all wanted to say. And we waited till afterwards. So right now, your rulers are wicked and your servants. And I digress.
So do y'all understand why we're here tonight keeping the Passover? Tomorrow, the 15th, we're going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate tomorrow and keep the feast of unleavened bread for 7 days.
We're going to show y'all some more too on this tomorrow.
Who could close out, man?
Very easy.
Hey, let me. Okay, let me read one scripture in the New Testament.
We're going to deal with those gospel scriptures.
Yeah, I'm going to leave a little cliffhanger like our beloved elder used to. Mark chapter 14. So if the Passover itself, which is on the 14th, if it's a high holy day, I need somebody to explain this right here. Give me 1 and 2.
Give them a preview.
Right, that's it.
The book of St. Mark, chapter 14, and verse 1.
Context.
After 2 days was the feast of the Passover and of unleavened bread.
Right, the feast of Passover and unleavened bread, which we've proven is 2 different things. Keep going.
And the chief priests and the scribes sought how they might take him by craft and put him.
So they're trying to figure out how and when they can put Christ to death. Go ahead.
And put him to death. Verse 2. But they said, not on the feast day.
What feast day is this they talking about?
Because
that
they put him
can't
on,
take him on.
Because they put him on the cross on Passover.
Right.
If they say we can't do it on the feast day, then why did they went and do it? Because Passover was not the feast day it's talking about. It was talking about the first day of unleavened bread.
Right.
They missed something. They withholding evidence on y'all.
Hey, but you got one simpleton to say, hey, go to the book of Mark chapter 14 and verse 12. Man, you missed everything else in verse 1 and 2. But you want to go straight to 12, man. Simple.
If they say we can't take Christ on the feast day, but they took him on Passover and crucified him, that shows you the feast day was talking about was unleavened bread because that was the Sabbath and that was the holy day. Irrefutable.
Hey.
Again, you're going to have 3 people. You're going to have the ignorant, which is fine. That just means you're unaware of things. We brought it out now, so you shouldn't be ignorant no more. You're going to have the stupid, the ones who go to scriptures and break it down completely wrong and got your reader agreeing with you because he don't know. I got pity on the reader. He don't know no better. And then you got your arrogant one, the delusional arrogant. Like you a top-notch elder in Israel with 5,000 people, 2,000. Arrogance, man. That's arrogant. That's arrogant. You got delusional people in the truth, man. I can see it. I can see it, and I'll talk about it. Challenge me.
Hey,
call me.
Hey, that's because you don't have nothing to lose.
Oh, you right.
A lot
you
of
don't have nothing to
have
lose.
something to lose.
So everything you got was built off another man's back.
Yes. There you go.
So you really never built the congregation yourself anyway. So you
There
don't
you
got
go.
nothing to lose. I get it now. I get it.
Hey, give me Deuteronomy 16:16.
Yeah,
That's
and
gonna be
by
it
the
for
way,
me.
those are shots. You lucky I ain't say your name. And the only reason I ain't say your name, Nathan wanted me to, but I say nobody use my name. So believe me, we strike back. I don't know where y'all from.
They
But we
said,
strike back in the hold on. We strike back in the spirit. We ain't cursing nobody out. We spitting all facts in the spirit. Because Christ was austere, right? Meaning he had to, show people what time it was, right? That's all. Watch what you talk about. Clean out your own closet first, right? For real, I mean, you got some elders that's delusional. For real, they delusional.
So remember in Mark 14:2, it said, not on the feast day. Deuteronomy 16:16.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16 and verse 16. 3 times in a year shall all the males appear before the Lord thy God.
3 times a year you shall appear before the Lord your God. Go ahead.
In the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread.
The feast of unleavened bread. Right, it's not the Passover. So everybody's coming for the feast of unleavened bread. That's it for me.
And one last thing, Passover is a memorial. One brother said it's not. It is. It's just like Purim, because Purim dealt with what? Killing our enemies. Passover dealt with what? Killing our enemies, and it's a memorial. How is it a regular day if the Most High is to memorialize it? A regular day means it comes and you do absolutely nothing. I told you, brothers don't know what they're talking about. Passover, they act like it's how is it a regular day if we right here teaching and about to partake in the feast? It don't make. Stupid is, stupid us.
Hey. All praises to the Most High for understanding. So, those of you watching, read for yourself what we've said. Examine it yourself. Part 2 tomorrow. We're gonna hit some stuff in the New Testament. We're gonna hit some other scriptures too. But give me the book of Acts. I think it's perfect for tonight. Acts chapter 5 and verse 29.
The book of Acts, chapter 5 and verse 29. Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey God rather than men.
Right, we ought to obey God rather than men. Now, let's have Passover. Let's eat the lamb, the bitter herbs, and enjoy each other.
Just like the foreparents did it. Y'all right on the perfect timeline, and the Most High set it up perfect. We right on the 14th day for real, even if you look at the calendar. Ain't that somehow he set it up?
Oh, and like
Enjoy the
last year, we had to keep the Passover in our houses. Right. You think the Lord don't know what he's doing?
And with that, we
say
Shalom.
Shalom.
What's going on, you guys? This is Judea, and I have something amazing to tell you guys. I want to introduce to you Showing Charity on Wheels. Showing Charity on Wheels is a non-profit organization helping our communities fight against hunger. It's a mobile food pantry that travels to various locations in Virginia. To name a few, you have Richmond, Petersburg, Chesterfield, and other local areas. Showing Charity on Wheels' goal is to help provide nutrition and healthy food in our communities. To get access to that, you can visit our website at www.showingcharityonwheels.com and fill out the sign-up sheet, or you can also donate on our website, or you can use our Cash App, $Showing Charity OW. Every helping hand matters.